You know that feeling, right? The company gets this amazing idea, maybe using AI, and then bam, it just hits this wall of corporate process.
Yeah, approvals, handoffs.
Exactly. And suddenly you're stuck. All that initial buzz just fizzles out. It makes you wonder, can bigger companies ever get back that like startup speed, that quick, nimble feeling,
Hmm.
especially for tricky stuff like AI features, but still deliver, really good work?
It's a huge challenge.
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today, this idea of atomic teams.
Hmm.
It's a concept Plaid's co-founder, Zach Perret, really champions.
Right.
We're going to unpack what they are, how they work, and how they try to get that startup velocity for AI development without, sacrificing quality.
Absolutely. And the core idea behind these atomic teams, as Parrott lays it out, it's actually pretty simple, but really powerful when you think about it.
Okay.
Imagine setting up these tiny, almost like self-contained startups inside your bigger company. We're talking small groups, maybe 2 to 8 people,
Yep.
tops.
Wow, that's small.
Yeah, really small. And they are totally focused, laser focused on one single project with a really clear goal. It seems straightforward, but that structure has some pretty big knock-on effects.
Okay, so it's not just about being small. What are the key ingredients that make a team atomic and potentially so effective?
That's a great question. Size matters, sure, but the real magic, I think, is in how a few key principles work together. First off, they're cross-functional, really cross-functional, meaning you pull in everyone. You need product people, designers, engineers, maybe data scientists, whatever that specific project calls for, right into that small team.
Ah, okay.
So they can basically handle the whole thing, from the first idea all the way to getting it out the door
Yeah.
without constantly needing help from other departments. That autonomy, that ownership, it's huge.
Right, right. Having all the skills and viewpoints right there embedded in the team makes sense. What else is crucial?
Well, they have this intense focus, like one main goal at a time,
Yeah.
and everyone on the team is 100% on that goal. No splitting attention between 5 different projects.
Mm-hmm.
They also try really hard to cut down on dependencies,
Mm-hmm.
needing things from other teams, so they're not just sitting around waiting.
Less waiting, more doing.
Exactly. And inside the team, communication is just constant.
Mm-hmm.
Daily stand-ups, quick brainstorms, very direct. Decisions happen faster, too, because the structure is flatter. Leadership is more light touch. Parrott calls it servant leadership.
Servant leadership.
Yeah, the team lead is there more to help things run smoothly and enable the team, not dictate from the top down.
Okay, less hierarchy, faster movement. I can definitely see that working. Now, I read something about this hit umbrella.
Yeah.
Sounds protective.
It is, yeah. That term, the hit umbrella, refers to an executive sponsor or maybe a manager who basically shields the team
Shields them from what?
from all the unnecessary corporate stuff, bureaucracy, politics, endless meetings that don't concern them. This person acts as the team's champion.
Okay.
They help get the resources, clear roadblocks, but, and this is key, they don't meddle in the team's day-to-day work. They don't micromanage.
Ah, so they run interference.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's actually a really smart observation about why great ideas sometimes die in big companies. Innovation often needs that kind of protection, not just budget.
So it's like giving them startup freedom and focus, but with the backup and resources of the bigger company. That really does sound like a good balance. Is this just theory though, or are companies actually doing that?
Oh, absolutely. There are some really good examples out there. Plaid, like we said, they explicitly use atomic teams for building new products.
Right.
Parrott himself has talked about putting together these small teams of PM, engineers, maybe a designer or data scientist, giving them a clear mission. And then leadership provides that buffer, that support. It's been a big part of how Plaid's been able to grow its product line but stay agile.
Interesting. That reminds me a bit of what I've heard about Amazon and how they structure teams.
Exactly. Amazon's whole 2-pizza team rule is very much in the same spirit.
Right. The 2 pizzas.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos' idea was basically if you can't feed a team with 2 pizzas, it's too big. The thinking is the same. Smaller teams just communicating better. They execute faster. It just naturally leads to tighter feedback loops, more individual accountability, quicker decisions. Same logic as atomic teams, really.
So, okay, the idea of small focused teams isn't totally brand new, but maybe atomic teams offers a more sort of deliberate, fleshed out framework.
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this model or, versions of it popping up in lots of different places.
Yeah.
Especially where AI is involved.
Like where?
Well, Take Booking.com. They actually embed data scientists directly into their product teams.
Oh, interesting.
And what's cool there is it's not just about sitting together. They're involved right from the start, designing features, iterating. So AI isn't some add-on at the end, it's baked in.
Ah, avoiding the handoff problem.
Exactly. It massively speeds up getting AI from like a prototype stage to actually being live because you skip that whole handoff between a separate research team and the product team.
That makes so much sense. Instead of the AI model being this finished thing that gets tossed over the wall, the expertise is there from day one.
Right. And you see similar things at places like Spotify and Airbnb. They often have these small autonomous squads
Yeah.
kitted out with AI tools so they can experiment really quickly and make sure it aligns with the business goals.
Okay.
Even Uber, right?
Yeah.
They have that big central AI platform, Michelangelo, but they also embed machine learning specialists directly into their different product teams.
A hybrid approach.
Yeah. So they can quickly get AI features into everything, from ride routes to, food delivery suggestions. They get the best of both worlds. Central efficiency and focused embedded speed.
It's really fascinating to see how different companies are kind of tweaking this core idea. You mentioned Capital One, too. How did they approach it?
Right, Capital One. As part of a big push towards agile methods, they restructured their tech side into these smaller teams, maybe 8 to 10 people.
Okay.
Each team had developers, designers, product managers, the whole mix. And they were given total responsibility, end to end, for their software.
From start to finish.
Yep. Moving away from those old silos. And the result, they started shipping software way faster.
Okay.
Went from, waiting months for testing and deployment to basically continuous delivery. And interestingly, people were actually excited to join these teams. They felt more empowered.
So it seems like this move to smaller, more self-managing teams isn't just about speed. It can actually improve how teams work together, that sense of ownership, maybe even morale.
Absolutely. And, to really see why atomic teams are beneficial, it helps to contrast them with the traditional way, the old product development lifecycle, or PDLC.
Ah, yes, the PDLC.
That model, a lot of big companies use, or maybe still use. You have these very separate roles, sequential steps. Product defines it, dev builds it, QA tests it, ops deploys it. Very linear, like a factory line.
Yeah, I know that one. Feels like passing a baton in a relay, like you said, and hoping nobody drops it.
Exactly. And maybe that worked okay in the past, but it just creates silos.
Yeah.
Bottlenecks. You have these handoffs where things get lost in translation and ownership gets kind of fuzzy.
Right.
Like the devs finish their code, throw it over to QA. QA finds a major bug, but weeks later, by then the devs have moved on.
Right.
It's just slow and frustrating. Lots of rework.
And you can immediately see how that old model would just completely stall out with something like AI development where everything changes so fast.
Totally. The market shifts, you get new data, competitors pop up.
Right.
That traditional PDLC, it's just too slow, too rigid to keep up. Even the quality part can be tricky. Well, having a separate QA phase sounds good, right? Dedicated testing. But in reality, it often forces this awful choice. Either delay the release for proper testing or cut corners on testing to hit a deadline.
Yeah, the ship it now, fix it later problem.
Exactly, which can lead to buggy software.
Yeah.
And sometimes, honestly, it can create a bit of an us versus them vibe between developers and testers.
Yeah, not ideal. Okay, so that sets up the problem well. How do atomic teams actually get around these issues more effectively?
The biggest thing is that end-to-end ownership. Remember, one atomic team owns the whole feature, soup to nuts.
Right, breaking down the silos.
Exactly, because all the functions are right there in the team. And testing, refining, it's not a separate step at the end. It's woven into how they work day in, day out. So releases happen faster and quality is just built in from the start.
Built-in quality. I like that. It's not an add-on. It's just how they operate.
Precisely. Think about it. If you're an engineer and you know you are going to be the one dealing with that code long-term, supporting it, fixing bugs, you're probably going to write better code in the first place.
Yeah, you definitely would. More careful.
That sense of ownership just permeates the whole atomic team. It's their product, their users. They genuinely care more about getting it right.
So it's not just speeding things up. It's actually driving better quality because people feel responsible.
Okay, but I can still hear some leaders thinking, okay, speed is great, but what about the quality trade-off? That classic worry. How do atomic teams really balance speed and quality?
It's a fair question, always. But the structure itself helps. Being small and focused means they can make decisions quickly, adapt fast. That's the speed and agility part.
Okay.
But because they have all the expertise right there and that deep sense of accountability we just talked about, They're more likely to choose the right path, not just the quickest one. Quality gets baked in.
And the communication helps too, massively. That high bandwidth internal chat is huge for quality. If there's a problem, say, a weird result from an AI model, the data scientist and engineer can jump on it immediately, talk it through, fix it, not wait for tickets and handoffs between departments.
Right, streamlined problem solving. Makes sense. But okay, are there downsides? With teams being so small, so intensely focused, could there be risks? Burnout? Tunnel vision?
Yeah, those are definitely things to watch out for. Burnout is a real risk if the pressure is constant and relentless. And tunnel vision, too. They might get so deep into their one thing, they lose sight of the bigger picture. That's why it's really important that these teams aren't totally isolated. They need connections back to the rest of the company for support, for sharing what they learn, staying aligned strategically.
Okay, so not islands. Connected.
Exactly. And another challenge is consistency. If you have lots of atomic teams working on different things, how do you make sure everything still fits together? Like security standards, compliance rules, even just the look and feel of the user interface. You don't want chaos.
Right, you need that autonomy, but you also need some guardrails, some coherence. How do companies manage that?
This is where something like a Center of Excellence, or COE, comes in.
A COE.
Yeah. Think of it as the group that sets the essential guardrails. They provide the overall guidelines, maybe shared tools, expert advice. But they don't control how the atomic teams do your work day to day.
So they provide the framework, not the instructions.
Exactly. Like an AI COE might provide the standard data platform everyone uses, maybe some approved tools for deploying models, checklists for fairness testing, things like that.
Okay. Who's usually in a COE?
Typically experts in key areas, security, compliance, UX design, maybe specific AI fields. Their job is really to enable the atomic teams, making sure they have what they need to innovate safely and consistently. Success for a COE is often measured by how well the teams adopt their guidelines and the overall quality across the board.
So the COE empowers the teams to run fast but within safe boundaries, like bumpers in a bowling lane.
Kind of, yeah. And often you'll have people from the COE, maybe call them ambassadors or liaisons, who work closely with the atomic teams.
Ah, like that head umbrella person again.
Exactly. They help the team make sure their work lines up with the company standards, navigate tricky compliance stuff, all without slowing them down. It's meant to be a partnership, really, helping them innovate within those necessary boundaries.
Okay, that sounds like a really practical way to get that balance autonomy for the teams, but alignment for the organization. So let's bring it all together. What's the main takeaway here for, say, a business leader listening to this? Why should they seriously consider this atomic team idea?
I think the core message, the bottom line, is that atomic teams offer a real practical way to get something that, frankly, almost every leader wants right now, especially with AI.
Which is?
The ability to ship cutting-edge AI features, to automate things quickly, basically move at startup speed, but without sacrificing the quality and reliability that enterprises need.
Okay, speed and quality, the holy grail.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
By breaking down those old silos and really empowering these small cross-functional teams, you essentially cut out a lot of the built-in delays and communication friction that choke innovation, especially for complex stuff like AI.
Sounds like it could be a serious competitive edge, particularly for bigger companies that maybe feel a bit slow sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just theory. We've seen it work, right? In fintechs like Plaid, big established players like Capital One, tech giants like Amazon, Spotify, Uber, they've all found value in this idea of small, focused teams with a clear mission and the right support.
Right.
There was a quote from Gabe Arabansky describing an atomic team as a small, powerful engine for innovation. I like that. But he also said it needs the right fuel.
Fuel being.
Resources, sure, but also trust, clarity on the goals. You need to feed that engine. In this age of AI, where things change so fast, this kind of model, this atomic team approach, it really can be the difference between being the disruptor and, well, being disrupted. It just gives you a framework for delivering AI stuff faster, smarter, and frankly better. It shows that moving fast and building things the right way, they don't have to be opposites, not if you set up your teams correctly.
That's a really powerful thought. Okay, so just to quickly recap then, we've explored how these atomic teams, small, cross-functional, autonomous, can really ramp up speed, improve quality, make organizations more agile, especially, it seems, in this complex world of AI features. It's about finding that sweet spot, right? Where you can innovate quickly, but also maintain really high standards that can actually feed each other.
Exactly. And it really points to a bigger shift, doesn't it? Thinking about how we organize work, Maybe those traditional top-down structures just aren't the best fit anymore, especially with AI moving so fast. Atomic teams offer a different way, a proven alternative in many cases.
So, as you're listening to this, maybe pause for a second and think about those core ideas behind atomic teams, that intense focus, the autonomy, the built in cross functional teamwork. Thinking about your own work, your own organization, is there one specific area, maybe a project or a process, where you could imagine a smaller, more empowered team making a real difference, driving some innovation, maybe fixing a persistent problem? It's definitely worth considering how those principles, autonomy, focus, integrated skills, could potentially spark something valuable in your world.